Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. That means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef, working towards the weekend. Jordyn Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We are fired up. You are here. Y'all, there's so much to talk about today. The Saints had a joint practice with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and other than the fact that Jordan Tyson left the practice, which is not good, it appeared that a lot of things went really well. So we'll talk about that. LSU got a basketball player. Maybe. But probably, possibly, maybe, but yes, maybe. And we'll talk about that. LSU practice this morning. I was there. We can talk about that. Like, there are lots of things to do. Matthew Paris from The Advocate's going to come on a little bit later. Plenty of meat on the bone today. So, of course, what's our opening drive? Number talk? Let's do it.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
All right, so by now, you're all very well aware of what's going on with the number 5 on LSU's campus. DJ Pickett switched to number 5 this year. We told you that. Lane Kiffin went to the microphone 2 weeks ago, said, yeah, he was promised it in recruiting. We said, well, we talked to people involved. We'll give him the number. Okay. A week later, ESPN, Mark Slabaugh reports that Jayden Daniels has sent a cease and desist letter to LSU saying, you cannot use my name, image, and likeness anymore. And then we got to practice this morning. DJ Pickett still in number 5. Matt Moscona reports on LouisianaSports.net, having spoken with multiple sources on multiple sides of this equation, says that Pickett, in his negotiations to come to LSU and to stay at LSU, put the number there. LSU spoke to Jayden Daniels' camp about the number. They were not thrilled about it. LSU made a decision to follow through and give DJ Pickett the number, which has not been retired. You know that part of the story. All that's there. So now we'll just give Hunt's opinion on this, right? It comes from 4 different people in this circumstance. 4 people. I will address them one by one. The first is 2023 Heisman Trophy winner Jayden Daniels. One of the greatest athletes in the history of LSU football, one of the greatest seasons in the history of LSU athletics, a Heisman Trophy winner, 2nd overall pick, and a guy who over 2 years here did nothing but create goodwill. Incredible play, wonderful representation of the university, award winner, awesome. Great over the course of 2 years as a transfer quarterback. You've got DJ Pickett, former 5-star recruit, cornerback, played last year on 3's National Defensive Player of the Year as a true freshman. You got Brian Kelly, who recruited DJ Pickett and brought him here with the understanding that Pickett would eventually wear number 5. And then you've got Lane Kiffin, who's now dropped into this situation where you've got a sophomore cornerback who's a very good player at a position that doesn't have a lot of depth, who wants the number 5. You didn't coach Jayden Daniels. You talked to Jayden Daniels' camp. They're not happy about it. So you got to decide between a Heisman winner from 3 years ago and your cornerback. These are the 4 people. We start with Jayden. I don't understand this one single second. I don't understand it. I'm saying this out loud. There are 2 possible outcomes here. You tell me what sounds better. 2 outcomes. 1, LSU awards DJ Pickett number 5, which they made clear they were going to do. They told Jayden about it. They asked him how he felt about it, but this was going to happen. So there are 2 reactions you can have. 1 is to say, well, I'm not really happy about that. I built a legacy on number 5. I won a Heisman Trophy. No one's worn it since. No one's worn Joe Burrow's number 9 since. I'm not happy about this, but go ahead and let DJ Pickett wear the number, and I'll have my day in Tiger Stadium moving forward. Bummed about it, but oh well. 2, you say, I don't like this at all, don't do that. Okay, you did give him number 5. Well, here's a cease and desist. Take my pictures off the wall. Give me my Heisman Trophy back. Don't use my image and likeness in the pregame hype video with the touchdown pass to Mason Taylor, and I'm never coming back. But I proved my point. I showed y'all. What? Jayden Daniels, in this cease and desist, his camp says that they feel disrespected by LSU. Can I suggest to you that the ultimate form of respect from a university and a football program is to put the number 5 on the facade of the south end zone where it lives for immortality, which was definitely going to happen for Jayden Daniels? How much more respect can you be given? No, there is nothing more respectful, but you're not eligible for that yet, and they haven't done it for Burrow yet. Your day is coming. Just hold on. In no way is DJ Pickett wearing number 5 tarnishing Jayden Daniels' legacy as a Heisman-winning quarterback who set multiple LSU and SEC records. It just doesn't. I wrote this in my column. Kevin Falk set the SEC record for touchdowns. He walked off the field to the New England Patriots, and Jarrell Myers got the number. Does anybody walk around here and say, man, they really disrespected Kevin Falk? I know he didn't win the Heisman Trophy, but he's a legend here. Does anybody sit here and suggest that when Paul Skeens left the mound at LSU and they gave his number to Ryan Kucherak the next year, that they were somehow just destroying the legacy of the National Pitcher of the Year, a national champion, and the first pick in the draft? No one even knows Ryan Kucherak wore number 20. It's insane to suggest that this is blatant disrespect for Jayden Daniels. He says, his camp says, you need to treat me the same way you treat Joe Burrow. You did get treated the same way they treated Joe Burrow. You left, and they didn't give 5 to anybody, just like Joe Burrow left, and they didn't give 9 to anybody. I've never seen that done with any number here. Never seen it done. And they did that for Joe Burrow, and they did that for Jayden Daniels, treated the exact same. And then a player asked for 5. This has nothing to do with Jayden Daniels versus Joe Burrow and who won a national championship and who didn't and whose defense stunk and whose didn't. If TJ Pickett had asked for 9, they probably do the exact same thing. It is not a Jayden versus Joe thing. And I wrote this in my column for LouisianaSports.net last week when this stuff broke. I said, I feel like Jayden feels like he lives in Joe Burrow's shadow because Joe Burrow's team achieved the ultimate and Jayden's didn't. It's not true. Everyone really appreciates Jayden Daniels, but it's just two different circumstances that were treated the exact same. You got the Burrow treatment. It is not like they held Burrow's number forever and ever, amen, and they just reissued yours to some walk-on 5 minutes after you left. It just didn't happen. This is remarkably immature behavior from Jayden Daniels. Now, he's number 1. Number 2 is DJ Pickett. DJ Pickett has said, and Matt Moscona has reported, that the number 5 is very, very important to him. He's worn it his entire football life from the age of 4. When he was being recruited by Brian Kelly and Corey Raymond, he said, I want to wear number 5. He checked with Oregon. He checked with Miami. He checked with LSU. Now, LSU just had a Heisman winner wear number 5. But DJ Pickett says he was promised he could wear number 5. Now, Brian Kelly is on the record saying, hey, we wanted to check with the Heisman winner, wanted to make sure it was okay, so DJ Pickett wore 3 as a freshman. It would be awesome, as I said last week, if DJ Pickett would show a little maturity and go, you know what, Jayden Daniels did a lot at LSU, won a Heisman Trophy. I can wear 3, I can carve my own legacy in 3, and I'll do that. But he's not doing it. He's not doing it. So now you've got Lane Kiffin, who gets dropped into this situation where I've got very little depth at cornerback. My best cornerback is demanding to wear this number. And I got a Heisman winner who I didn't coach who's ticked off about it, but I got to keep this guy happy. Lane Kiffin is the only one who, in my estimation, is acting reasonably here. DJ Pickett, and Matt reported this on LouisianaSports.net, said in his negotiation with LSU to come and to stay, 5 was a central part of that. There's playing for Corey Raymond, the best defensive backs coach in the country. There's playing for LSU, DBU. There is playing in the Southeastern Conference. There's playing in Tiger Stadium. There's all the facilities, all the resources at LSU. Oh, by the way, there's like some classes they take every once in a while. All that stuff stacked up in priority, and 5 somehow comes to the top. That is insane. It's insane. Now, Jayden Daniels doesn't own number 5, but we could all take a step back here and go, he's not comfortable with that. Let's just move forward, not ruffle any feathers. There are so many more important aspects of collegiate football than what number is on your shirt. I feel like I'm dealing with 5th graders. There's one in the NFL. There's one playing cornerback. This is unbelievable that this is what it's come to. Now, ultimately, this is not going to matter in the short term. DJ Pickett's going to go out there and play. Everybody in Baton Rouge hopes he balls out and is an All-American and they win a national championship. That's great. And I predict that Jayden Daniels will cool his jets over time. His camp will cool their jets over time, and realizing that taking your Heisman, shipping it to the high school you went to, and erasing your name completely from LSU is probably not the best decision. That will eventually become. And he'll have his day in Tiger Stadium. And he'll go down on the field, and his number 5 will rightfully be on the south end zone next to Joe Burrow and next to Tommy Casanova and Jerry Stovall and Charles Alexander and Burt Jones and Billy Cannon and all. And that day will happen for Jayden Daniels once this cools off. I've seen it happen with the Cubs and Sammy Sosa, who was my childhood idol, who was exiled for 20 years. Eventually, people figure this out. The same thing happened with Billy Cannon when he got in trouble. But this right here, it is hard for me to grasp the fact that we have got adults in a room that can't figure out the importance of a jersey number. Jayden, it is not disrespectful. It is not tarnishing your legacy at all. DJ, there are more important things here than putting the number 5 on your chest. I promise. Brian Kelly, I know you got to do what you got to do to get guys on campus and you try to make things work. Lane Kiffin, you had no shot here and you picked what was best for your football team this year. I get it. But this is an embarrassing thing for LSU, a ridiculous thing for us to be talking about. And the fact that nobody can be an adult in this room is pretty mind-blowing to me. And the fact that people in both camps, based on Matt's reporting, think that they are in the right on this and the other group is crazy? Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. It's a number. This is not 5th grade anymore. Come on, folks. I guess I'll leave that right where it needs to be, and we'll talk about LSU's football practice when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. It is storm season. Hopefully things stay quiet down there, but we know inevitably this part of the world, there are going to be storms that come through. You're going to want that Generac home standby generator at your home or at your business to make sure the power doesn't go out on you. And shop local when you do it. You get a local team to come out and provide that quote. You get a local team to come out and do the installation. You have a local team monitoring that generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if there's a mechanical issue, you know about it. And then you get a local team to come out and fix it so you have the peace of mind of knowing if that power goes out for that afternoon thunderstorm or that hurricane that comes through. Hey, my Generac standby generator is going to come on, and I'm going to be powered up. Call them up, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or in Gonzales, 225-300-9389. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right. I'll level with you. I'm sweating after that opening segment. And it's not because it's 105 degrees outside. It's very cool in the studio, actually, and I'm wearing shorts because we had practice. But that's just mind-blowing stuff from everyone involved. Let's move on from it, shall we? First, let me tell you about my friends at the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team really know what they're doing when it comes to group and employee benefits, and they can help you. It starts with a conversation. If you are a business owner or you're a CFO and you're really feeling the squeeze when it comes to your health insurance for your employees, it comes to your dental, your vision, they are not promising you that they can get you a better quote. They are promising you they can have a conversation with you and explore options. So if you've been locked in with one carrier forever and ever and those rates just keep going up and up and up, talk to Jonathan Carbo and the Howland Insurance Group. They've had some success in recent months in South Louisiana with multiple groups moving carriers and saving money on the bottom line while keeping those benefits where they need to be for your employees. So if you just had a renewal or you're dreading the upcoming renewal and you just want to have a conversation, talk to Jonathan Carbo and the Howland Insurance Group. They're online at highlandig.com, highlandig.com. All right, LSU was on the practice field today. DJ Pickett was in number 5, incidentally. And we got to watch 12 minutes. I told you yesterday we're watching the same thing over and over and over again. But I wanted to start with the objective truths and then get to some of these subjective observations that I had. Winnie Watkins was not at practice. Again, that's the third practice he's missed. Lane Kiffin was asked today about Winnie Watkins missing practice, and he said, we're new to this. We're not going to discuss injuries, so I'll leave that there. But that does suggest that Winnie Watkins was injured. We did report at LouisianaSports.net, Matt was on this, that Watkins was not there on Tuesday, but did come out after the media left and participated a little bit in a no-contact jersey. So Winnie Watkins is dealing with an injury of some sort, but it does not appear, because he did practice on Tuesday, to be something debilitating. So he's not out there while we're out there in the first 12 minutes of practice. Of note, Jabari Mack, who did not practice with the wide receivers, but on his own off to the side on Tuesday, was back with the wide receivers today. He was in a gold no-contact jersey, as was Jace Brown. That doesn't sound great, but Jace Brown was still going through the wide receiver reps in the individual periods and catching some passes from Sam Levitt. He didn't appear to be significantly compromised, but he did have a no-contact jersey on. Trades Green, of course, no-contact jersey as well. I think that they threw his practice jerseys away. He only gets no-contact jerseys the rest of the way from now on because they don't want Trades to get hit. So that's the objective part of it. Moving to the subjective nature of LSU's workout, I spent a little bit of time watching the linebackers go through drills, and it's just great to see Whit Weeks really moving through, really leading the team, really looking explosive. I just remember him as a freshman, which was now 3 years ago, and he was such a bat out of hell out there. I mean, just moving fast, flying upfield, hitting people, and he was compromised so greatly last year that it just never really looked like that. And it does right now. He is completely healed. He's in full pads. He's not in a no-contact jersey. He's the first one through the drills. They're only hitting sleds and going under that thing that keeps your pad level low and, shedding blocks and doing those types of things. But Whit just looks healthy. He's moving, flying around, and it looks really good. I also really think that LSU looks the part from an edge rushing perspective. Lane Kiffin was asked about their edge rushers today and said Prince Will Monmiel had a great day at practice. Prince Will was meeting with the media right when I went live today at 1 o'clock. But you look at him, and he's 6'4", 245 pounds. You look at Jordyn Ross on the other side, who is 6'5" and 248 pounds. Like, he's a little bit heavier and an inch taller. I think that Lamar Brown really looks imposing out there as well. He's 290 pounds, 295 pounds. He's not as defined as those guys who have been in a college weight program for 3 or 4 years, but he is big and physical. Trenton Henderson is a guy that Lane Kiffin mentioned when everyone was focusing on Lamar Brown and Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson. He's like, yeah, and Trenton Henderson is actually looking pretty good as well. He's 6'4" and north of 240 pounds. He looks the part. Dylan Carpenter's always looked physically imposing. He hasn't played a lot or been overly productive, but it's not a position group that's as deep as it was because Gabe Relaford is out for the year and because you're not practicing with Damian Shanklin right now, who's away from the team. So the depth numbers aren't exactly what you're looking for, but LSU does look the part out there on the defensive end group. So that's a good sign. I spent a little bit of time with Corey Raymond's group, one to make sure DJ Pickett was in the number 5 today, which, I mean, you got to check it, right? They make a big deal out of it overnight. I got to go see, and he was in fact in number 5, and he was going through drills. He, PJ Woodland, Jakeem Jackson, Haven Finney, Michael Turner. That group, as I mentioned after the first day, it's still a slender group, but Corey Raymond likes that group, and DJ Pickett talked about him today. Said that things are going really well, and I did hear Deshaun Spears today talk about the group of corners and how well they've played once they've gone to team drills. This is a position group that I've gotten a really good look at in fall camp with Brian Kelly because he gave us so much access to 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. And those 7-on-7, and especially the 1-on-1s, really cater to the wide receivers. And we saw the wide receivers win a lot of those reps over the years of Brian Kelly giving us those access. But it sounds like this year when they go out there that those corners are really holding their own. Mansour Delane did absolutely last year. DJ Pickett had his struggles last year early on. He was a true freshman out there trying to run with a really old wide receiver group with Barryon Brown and Xavion Thomas and guys who are making waves in NFL camps right now. And Aaron Anderson was a real veteran. And Pickett had his struggles last year in camp trying to keep up with those guys. But Corey Raymond kept putting him out there, kept putting him out there, kept putting him out there. And you saw DJ Pickett blossom into a really good player over the course of last year. And I think that the same is going to need to be true for Haven Finney, because it would be awesome if LSU went through this whole season and Pickett and Woodland and Jackson and Spears and Cooley and Benefield all stayed healthy and that was your starting secondary all year. But the odds of everybody staying healthy all year, or nobody getting a targeting foul, or everybody just staying, you're not needing to tap into your depth, they're pretty slim. And I think that they think Haven Finney's got a chance to be really good. And DJ Pickett talked about Finney today and suggested he was really doing some things that were really good. We just don't get to watch it. So I say all that to be like, I know that this does happen. We're just not there to see it. So that was something I paid a little bit of attention to as well. And then I watched the backup quarterbacks a little bit today in abbreviated time. Houston Longstreet to me looks better than Landon Clark. He threw a couple of really nice balls on Tuesday and then had a couple of really good throws to the tight ends today as well. I'm not going to harp on that because they're not even playing a defense. It's not even one-on-ones. It's just literally throwing on air. But the ball comes out a little more zip, and he was just on target. Really the only thing you can glean from these throws is the throw on target and does the receiver catch it. And I thought that Longstreet looked good. The last piece of subjective data from today was my opinion on Sam Leavitt's mobility. Now, trust me, I am really not overreacting to this. I'm just providing a little bit of information that you otherwise don't have because you're not at practice. Every drill that we've seen Sam Leavitt do for the first 2 weeks has been stationary, take the snap, one-step drop, throw. Everything. So stationary, on platform, throw it. No rollouts, no read option keepers, no evading pressure, no 7-on-7, nothing. It's been stationary, get it down the field. Okay. Today, we saw half boots. Half boots. I'm talking 3 or 4 steps, dump it off in the flat. Not a big deal. Not trying to make it a big deal, but it's all I saw. And what we saw was that Sam Leavitt looks fine doing it. Moving out to his right, throwing on the run, not favoring a foot, no issues. And look, I have no reason whatsoever to believe that Sam Leavitt is compromised in any way with that foot. Nothing we heard in the summer suggests that. Nothing we've seen in the fall suggests that. Nothing. But any data point about him is important because this guy is the most important piece to this team. Without him, you are significantly worse. You can deal with a loss of your right guard. You'll be okay if you lose a safety. You'll be okay if one of the running backs tweaks an ankle. You've got some guys to fill in. I don't want you to lose your starting quarterback. We saw last year what that can do this era, and there just aren't a lot of teams that are equipped and ready to go with a backup quarterback. Now, you might look at me and go, hey, what about Ole Miss last year? And I don't have a comeback to that other than that I don't think that's the rule. I think that's generally the exception in the portal era. There was an era where you could develop 3 quarterbacks at a time, and they'd all sit on the bench, and they'd all stay, and they'd wait their turn. That time is gone, and you've got 3 new guys. So Leavitt is the most important thing. So when I see something new from Leavitt, I feel it is my obligation to pass it along to you. So saw some half boots, no ill effects whatsoever, and then we got on out of practice. And I came up here and wrote a practice report, which you can read for free on LouisianaSports.net, and came here to do a show. By the way, if you're looking for our practice content from an audio perspective or from a video perspective, wherever you find your podcasts or on YouTube, just check us out at Hunt on LSU. That's Hunt on LSU. And, of course, on LouisianaSports.net. All that, all the podcasts, all the YouTube videos, all the LouisianaSports.net content is free. We love to bring it to you that way. So if you're starving for football content, we have certainly got you here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and LouisianaSports.net. All right, we'll step aside. We're 30 minutes in. Talk about LSU basketball commitment moving forward. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. Back to school. It's carpool time. You got to have room for the kiddos. If you need a new SUV, Fabry Chevrolet GMC has got them. They got Chevy Suburbans, Chevy Tahoes, GMC Yukons, Denali's. Thinking about that SUV, go to Fabry Chevrolet GMC. And they want to remind you, they've got pre-owned vehicles to fit every budget. So if you need an SUV but you're preferring a pre-owned, you can search by mileage on their website. You can search by price on their website. It's all there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. Go by and see them. Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Amazing customer service. The Fabry family's been at this for 35 years in Baton Rouge. So make that short drive to St. Francisville on Highway 61 or check them out online at FabryChevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Always happy to remind you about First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com. That's First American Bank and Trust. 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. Been at this 116 years. There is nowhere else to go if you need a commercial loan or a personal loan in Southeast Louisiana because you want that community feel. You want to know the decision that's being made on your commercial or personal loan is being made locally. If you need to talk to your bank, you don't want to call somebody in San Francisco. You don't want to call somebody in Manhattan. You want to call somebody in Southeast Louisiana. When you walk into your bank, you want to see somebody that you see at church. You want to see somebody that you see with your kids out on the soccer field. That's what you get at First American Bank and Trust. They're local. That does not mean they're small. 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. So no matter where you are in our part of the world, there's a First American Bank and Trust branch nearest you. So you can check them out online at FABT.com. But I highly suggest you just stop in. Make First American Bank and Trust your banking choice. That's First American Bank and Trust. All right, Matthew Paris is going to be with us in an hour. He was at the Saints and Jaguars joint practice today, and he'll fill us in on what he saw with his own two eyes. I am relegated to this chair, and so I will just read the Twitter musings from folks and draw my own conclusions. The first headlining story from today is absolutely positively Jordyn Tyson leaving practice. Unfortunately, when your first-round pick, who has an injury history with his hamstring, leaves practice because of his hamstring, that's not good. Now, the inclination that Nick Underhill from New Orleans Football has from his sourcing inside the team is that they do not believe this is significant. But on the flip side, anything that happens to his hamstring is significant. It would be insignificant if he dislocated a finger, okay? You let it heal. It's something that's gone and you're good in 3 weeks. It's significant when a guy that has had two different hamstring injuries in the last 12 months has a hamstring injury. And this is coming from somebody who said, I'm willing to take the injury risk when they drafted him. And full well understanding what you're getting into. Again, this is not right now a 6, 8, 10-week thing. It's a guy that felt something and sat out the rest of practice, and we'll see when he can come back. There's no reporting on that to this point. But it is the headlining story. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, understanding it's paramount, but we're going to move beyond it, it sounds like the Saints offense had a great day. And that is such a refreshing thing to hear because we talked Sharif Ishaq on Tuesdays. We talked to Luke Johnson on Thursdays, or in this case, Wednesdays. We've talked to Sean Fazan. We've talked to Kat Terrell. Ross Jackson has come on the show. And ultimately, the defense is winning most of the days at Saints camp. And what we know is you don't want one side of the ball to just dominate because oftentimes that suggests the other side of the ball is weak. I didn't say every time, but oftentimes it suggests the other side is weak. And the Saints have a retooled wide receiver position, a retooled offensive line to some extent, a quarterback that we believe in but aren't 100% certain is a high-level NFL quarterback, and you want them to get going. And if you have one bad day, no big deal. You have a couple bad days in a week, no big deal. But when most of the days are clunky, disjointed, and being controlled by the defense, that's not a good feeling. inching toward the season. So now that you don't have guys that you practice against every single day, you don't have a script where the coaches kind of know what's going on. You don't have the familiarity that you do every single day of the one-on-ones and the 11-on-11s. You're able to do some different things, and it's a different feeling. And Nick Underhill tweeted out that Tyler Shuck was 7 of 8 to start, said he was getting the ball down the field, said that big day for Chris Olave, made a one-handed catch that would have been a touchdown. He said the first team offense is blazing and Shuck is cooking. That is great news to hear from this, because that's a good Jacksonville defense at a lot of spots. Was told that on Twitter that they beat Travis Hunter for a big gain, that Shuck had time to work and was getting the ball out into space. And that's really, really encouraging, because you're not going to get any significant starter reps when you're out there in the preseason, because Kellen Moore's not going to play those guys. You can also look at the Saints defense. Chase Young had 2 early sacks. One was assisted by Nathan Shepard. Vernon Broughton got back there and flushed Trevor Lawrence out of the pocket. Blackman had an interception, 2 pass breakups. Chris Olave made a huge play on Travis Hunter, leapt over the top of him and stretched it down the field. Charlie Smith made a 51-yard field goal, which was great to see. Bryce Lance had a big-time play. So it was really, really, really encouraging based on what we saw from Twitter. I'll get more from Matthew Paris. He saw it with own 2 eyes, but based on what we saw from Twitter. Now, with that all said, because it is optimism season, and it seems like there are a lot of really good things going on. We saw one tweet that said Saints reporters are suggesting the Saints are having a day, which I just told you. Shuck, 7 of 8. Big plays from Blackman. Olave, Mawson, Travis Hunter. Big gainer from Travis Etienne. Had a big hole on one play. Charlie Smith, 51-yarder. Chase Young getting sacks. Like, listen to all this great stuff. So, yeah, the Saints are having a day. But also the Jags reporters are reporting that the Jags are having a big day too. There's some controversy whether or not there might have been some sacks that weren't whistled down before the plays got off. Again, I don't know. It wasn't there. I'm just reading Twitter. But it is optimism season, and I'll tell you this. I appreciate the Saints Twitter team, the Saints media, highlighting the Saints, and the Jags media team, and the Jags media highlighting the Jags. That's what your base wants to hear. But I choose to hear that the Saints really got things going today offensively, to an extent that they have not previously. They'll get another chance in some joint practices next week, but the preseason is unlikely to give us much other than Spencer Rattler chucking it around to some guys that are really struggling to make the team. But ultimately, it seemed like it was a pretty good day. I do buy that the offense, when they see the same defense every single day, the defense when they see the same offense every day, it can get a little stale and space can be hard to come by. But you get a little shot of life when the other team is across the football from you. They're not sure what to expect. You're on the attack. And it seemed like the Saints offense found its way. And let's be honest. We think Chris Olave can really play. We think Jordyn Tyson's got a chance to be a really good player. We know Juwan Johnson's productive. Travis Etienne, really explosive player that's produced a lot. We know that the Saints have a really good center and a quarterback that's got some ability. And if he's completing passes, which by all accounts he was, you've got a lot of really good pass catchers out there that can make plays. So I can't give you a definitive answer as to how today went for the Saints, other than to say it looked pretty good based on the Twitter reaction. Let's see what Matthew Paris gives us in 50 minutes, because that's what I'm most intrigued to hear. But I'm hopeful that it was a confidence-inspiring day for the Saints offense, because they've got some pieces. They've got a bright coach who's won a lot of games and produced a lot of points. And maybe, just maybe, the Saints defense is just really good. And they're doing the old cliche, iron sharpens iron. And that Saints offense is coming along, even though it's tough on them with that defense. And now they got to look at somebody else, and they really lit them up. So let's hope that's the case. We'll talk to Matthew Paris about it coming up at 2:30 today. We still got plenty to do over the course of the next hour and 20 minutes or so. LSU basketball got a commitment. We will talk about that coming up in hour number 2. That's really good news because I was complaining about it almost daily. We got our Meet the Freshman campaign that's coming up at 2 o'clock. Richard Anderson and Ryan Moret will be our features today. So that's all of hour number 2. To end hour number 1, we got some news from LSU baseball yesterday, and I'll kind of go into what that means for LSU baseball briefly, and then we'll switch back to football. So come back and close out the hour. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's back to school time. The folks at Auction are well aware of that, and they're trying to help you out as you send the kids back into school and back into extracurriculars. Sports can help reduce stress, build confidence, improve social skills. It's a great way for kids to stay active and engaged throughout the school year. Many Auction Health Centers offer primary care and pediatric services in one location. So if you're looking for an easier way to get families to coordinate care for everybody in the household, check out our friends over at Auctioner. They got same-day appointment availability at many of the locations, and they can help families address unexpected health concerns quickly as children return to school and to activities, including some athletics. If you need extended hours after school, weekend appointments, you never know when those injuries are going to happen. Well, you can go to www.oxter.org/BR to see where you can get looked at. For tips on helping your family start the school year healthy, safe, and ready to succeed, again, that's oxter.org/BR.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday shows always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I'm going to give you Sean Segura's number at the end of this read. If you want to do beef a different way, Sean can help you out. It's the only way the Palmers buy beef these days. You know that herd levels are at their lowest since the 60s, which our population's growing a good bit, right? That is a supply and demand issue. Prices go up. You're paying a premium price when you go buy your beef. Your steaks, your ground beef, whatever the case may be, you're paying a premium price for that. Why not get a premium product? That's what you get with Sagrera Farms. It's prime every time. Sean has mastered this craft. It's a 3-year journey for every cow. It starts with the genetic mating, raised on grass, finished on grain, dry aged 45 days, and it is a prime product every single time. The standard for prime on the IMF scale is 8 to 9. He's got cows on the farm right now in Ethel that are 12, 14, 16, 18. They've been ultrasounded by vets. It creates the most tender, flavorful, well-marbled beef you've had. It's top 1% in the country. If you want a half a cow, want a quarter of a cow, want a whole cow, split it between 4 families if you want. Don't have the freezer space? Sean can help you out with that. Give him a call, 225-719-1723. Again, that's 225-719-1723. Call Sean, say, hey, I heard about it on Hunt's show. I'd like to talk to you about some beef. You go up to the farm, he gets you taken care of. It is a plus. The next time you put fillets, strips, ribeyes on the grill, the next time you make burgers or flank steak, Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. They bring you our Thursday shows each and every week. All right, some news from LSU baseball yesterday, kind of. Luke Tucker, who was a signee in this class, announced via his Instagram that he's headed to McLennan Junior College in Waco, Texas. Tucker is a big left-handed hitting infielder, probably profiles as a third baseman, who's a really nice get for LSU in this class. But there's a crunch on numbers for LSU. And Luke Tucker has decided what's going to be best for him is to remain committed to LSU after he spent the summer here. He was here all summer, went through summer school and was with the guys. He has decided to go to junior college, get a year's worth of at-bats, and then come back. Now, he will remain his draft eligibility by going to JUCO. So he could redo this next year and potentially go into the draft. And he's a fairly draftable prospect. You're talking about a kid that's 6'4", can play third base and really hits with some power. But infield at-bats are going to be tough to come by at LSU next year. Stephen Milam's going to be the shortstop. Cade Curlin is very likely to be the second baseman. Dawson Park had an all-star summer on Cape Cod. He's very likely your third baseman. You do bring back Jack Ruckert. You do bring back John Pearson. It's going to be hard to get on the field, on the infield at LSU. And with that in mind, Tucker's going to take this opportunity to continue to develop. And you do if you get more at-bats. It'd be great to come to LSU and practice in the fall against LSU pitchers and maybe dress out for the home games and maybe a road game here or there and get the experience of, all that goes into that as a freshman. But how much was he going to hit? How much defense was he going to play? And how much does that kind of stunt your growth? I think it's an incredibly mature decision by Luke Tucker to say, hey, I understand crowded roster, crowded infield. I'm going to play baseball. I'm going to play. And not only am I going to do that, all the while I'm going to stay committed to LSU. Because how easy would it be to say, I'll go to junior college. I'll find somewhere else to play. But he didn't. He said, no, I want to be a Tiger. I'll be back. And that's what he said on his Instagram post. Said, I remain committed to LSU. I plan to play a year at McLennan and then come back. And that's a really cool thing that Luke Tucker is going to do. So it's a bit of a detour for him, but this is the nature of the beast in collegiate athletics. You got to go get guys. And sometimes you don't know what the circumstances of your roster are going to be. When Jay Johnson goes and gets his transfer portal class, he doesn't know what the draft is going to do. So you go get all these guys from the portal and bring them in, and then the draft comes, and you have no idea how many of these talented signees you're going to get. So you're playing a delicate balancing game. And candidly, I know it's not the nicest thing to say, but you'd rather be over the roster limit and have to tap somebody on the shoulder than be under the roster limit and go, well, I'm wasting 3 spots on this bench. And Jay Johnson's just not going to do that. He's going to be prepared. So guess what? When Logan Schmidt makes that 11th hour decision to come to LSU, you got to start talking. And Luke Tucker is receptive to it. And I've been so impressed with his social media presence over the course of the last couple of weeks. And best of luck to him this year at McLennan. Hope he plays a ton of third base, a little first base, maybe some second, hits for some pop, sees a lot of 88, 90 mile an hour fastballs, and then comes back to LSU next year during the summer and try to win a spot. Because guess what? Dawson Park, not going to be here next year. Stephen Milam, not going to be here next year. Cade Curlin, not going to be here next year. So you're looking at second base, shortstop, and third base. There's playing time. Playing time is wide open. So, yeah, you're going to have to compete. There were 2 other really good infielders in this class. Jack Ruckert is still in this program. So is John Pearson. And they'll go back in the transfer portal next June and see what they can do to add depth and talent. And the best player will play. But you can't just kind of think you know what's going to happen in the MLB draft and then we'll figure it out. No, you gotta plan early. And sometimes things work out a little better than you thought. And I think in Jay Johnson's case this time, things worked out a little bit better than he thought with the MLB draft. And so you got to move forward with your roster. So LSU will start fall practice coming up here at the beginning of October. They'll play Troy in Tiger Stadium. They will not play Troy in Tiger Stadium. That's incorrect. They will play Troy inside Alec Box Stadium in the fall. They will play Southeastern Louisiana in Tiger Stadium during the fall. And they'll also make their annual trip over to Biloxi to play Samford during the bye week. That'll be a Saturday and Sunday. So it should be a big fall for LSU. Very cool schedule they've put together. Really talented roster they've assembled. And Luke Tucker, who's a big talent, will have a chance to go hit and play defense elsewhere and then hopefully come right on back to LSU. Keep in mind, this is not unprecedented. Tanner Reeves was committed to LSU, decided to stay another year at Blinn Junior College there in Texas, and then came to LSU. So I realized that, Tanner Reeves was never a superstar player at LSU, but this is not unprecedented for a player that is still very much committed to a school to spend some extra time at junior college to keep playing. And that's what Luke Tucker has elected to do. So good for him, and I think good for LSU baseball. So that's it for hour number 1 here of our Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I opened the show today talking about this ridiculous number gate. It's just beyond my comprehension that people can act like this on both sides. That Jayden Daniels is writing legal documents to LSU and then suggesting LSU should send his Heisman Trophy back to go be displayed at his high school instead of his college. That's just beyond my comprehension. I feel like it would be great and reasonable if DJ Pickett didn't demand that he get the number, which he got in his contract and negotiated with LSU. But how important is that? Where is it in the hierarchy of development and team success and building friendship bonds and school, heaven forbid, and the whole thing? To prioritize the number over that is mind-blowing to me. Now, with Brian Kelly, I understand that he felt like he had to do what he had to do to get the kid on campus, and you do it. And then you got Lane Kiffin, who was dropped right in between a rock and a hard place here in Baton Rouge. I did not have a comment on it today, but I gave my full 12-minute dissertation on that at the top of the show. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. Also talked about LSU's practice today, another 12 minutes. We got to observe things. I liked what I saw from Whitweek and the defensive ends, and saw a little bit more from Sam Levitt than we have previously in terms of mobility. I gave my thoughts on it. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. Also, we talked about what we read about the Saints, but I have good news for you. You don't have to pin all your Saints information on what I read on Twitter. We're going to have Matthew Paris come on in 35 minutes, and he'll tell you what he saw with his own two eyes down there at Saints camp. Also got other things to get to in hour number 2. We'll start things with our Meet the Freshman series, and guess what? After 2 days and really 2 weeks of me going, I don't know, LSU got a hoops commitment. And I'm going to break it down. We'll pause for Sports Center. You can hear the national headlines there. Invite you to come back with us for hour number 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If there is a crack in your closet, not your closet, fix that too. If there's a crack in your bathtub or your shower, don't just let it sit there. David has seen this way too many times. If there's a crack in your bathtub or your shower, likely water is seeping through there. And then where's it going? Well, it's got to go somewhere. Into your walls. If it's on the second floor, into that first floor ceiling, into the ceiling where you are, into the floors where you are. And that can get really, really, really bad and really expensive. So just because it's a small crack, take it seriously. Contact David Vaughn, One Bath and Closets. Don't let a small crack turn into mold. Don't let a small crack turn into rotting. Don't let a small crack turn into a big job. Contact David Vaughn at One Bath and Closets. You can find him online at onebathandclosets.com.